Hey, hello again. We're back on the ground at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and once again we are heading to Santa Barbara. This is in response to a viewer request. He saw the flight I did into Santa Barbara demonstrating how to hand fly an ILS approach, and he said, all right, wise guide, now try doing it with one engine out. So we will. This happens to be an airplane where both engines rotate clockwise, pardon me, sound like Mamel Tillis, clockwise from the point of view of the pilot, and therefore this is the critical engine. In other words, losing this one will make controlling the airplane a little bit harder than losing this one. However, we are going to obey one simple rule. We are going to keep it above the blue line speed, and the blue line speed is calculated to take that into account. So we're not going to sit here saying, let's see which is the critical one, which isn't, and then plow into a mountain while we figure it out, because it doesn't matter. We've got an approach ready to go. We're going to fly an ILS approach. The conditions in Santa Barbara are significantly worse, supposedly, than here. Let me just, while I'm still at it, make sure that I've got the Santa Barbara localizer tuned in, and I do as a backup, because the GPS portion of this airplane, or this little GTN 650, and the coupling of it has been screwy. So let me just make sure that that is correct. All right, good. And we're not going to fly the autopilot. We're going to hand fly the whole thing. However, we're going to use the flight director and pop it out of heading mode and into nav mode, and it doesn't seem to work. All right, well, we'll see if we can make it work. It should be able to arm it on the ground, but we'll see. All right, shall we go flying here? What's going to happen is I'm going to reach down and kill the engine just after we lift off, just after V1. And even though we've got 14,000 feet of runway in front of us, I'm not going to do the normal thing, which would be to just come right back and land, not even turn. You could just set right back down on this runway a plane our size, but we're not going to do that. That wouldn't be right. That wouldn't be American. And if for nothing else, we are right, and we are American. So let me just make sure the controls check out. Rudder works. The other thing we're not going to do is diagnose the engine, because we're going to know which one we failed. So this is a little bit of a cheat here. I am told that in these situations you want to be very careful about which engine you shut down. You want to be damn sure that the bad engine has no manifold pressure, or temperature's off the chart and is burning up, or something like that, or has smoke pouring out of it. But you do not want to act precipitously, because you could create the nightmare scenario, which is that you've got a bad left engine, and instead of shutting the left down, you shut down the right. So rule of thumb is like measure twice and cut once, I suppose. But we're going to get going. We've been having some tire and brake troubles with this airplane. It's not adapted yet for X-Plane 11, so anything here is just kind of a bonus. Other than that, we're also not going to do what you would do if you lost an engine in flight, and that is secure it and then try and restart it. We're going to leave it out, and we're going to fly the whole thing screwed up. So let me just take our brakes off here. Unfortunately, I have to use the scroll wheel to do it. Alright, it seems like we are rolling. And we'll just advance the throttle here. And we'll go flying. shitty ground handling too. Alright, V1 and rotate. And so up we go, and we're on our way up. And lo and behold, what happens but we lose that engine. So we'll pitch down. We'll crank in right rudder, it seems. So dead leg, dead engine. I've got manifold pressure on number 2. I have none on number 1. So let's just secure it. Well, we pitch down, and the other thing we'll do is we'll bring up the gear. We will not bring up the flaps. Keep an eye on our altitude. Keep an eye on our speed. And I'm going to feather the number 1 engine, which will help our situation quite a bit. And mixture on that engine can go to cutoff. And we can get into nav mode here. There we go. We can fly the flight director. We can stay above blue line speed. Get back on course. And start to play around with our trim. Now, if terrain were a significant consideration, like a real significant consideration, we would obviously think twice about flying this way, and we would either return to the airport if we had to, or if we had to go somewhere, circle around. And obviously it's a silly scenario. We would just return to the airport. And I think I can see already that my HSI is going to be acting up the way it did before. Fortunately, the flight director works. But before I do anything else, let me bring up our flaps now. Accelerate. Follow the flight director, and I will bet you we're going to be getting on course here. And as you can see, the HSI, the CDI is not presenting right, and that I've had that problem before. But anyway, we go up into the soup here, and let's start to climb. And so what I'm going to do basically is, yeah, there's our route. We're getting back on the magenta line. We're climbing, we hope. We are. We're building up some speed, and I'm just introducing some right rudder trim to make up for the loss of that engine. And I'm going to introduce some elevator trim too, just to ease my workload a little bit. I'm looking at my slip indicator there, and I'm seeing that it is showing quite the slip. Alright, now we're on course. And again, the damn CDI is not working, which is a bit of a pain, but we'll get there in spite of it. Let me just center the ball if I possibly can. We want to get up to 5,000 feet to clear terrain just around Gaviota. And whenever I introduce a little bit of rudder trim, it gets a little bit squirrely here, so I'm trying to bring it in just a little bit at a time so I don't have to be constantly on the right rudder. There we go. We're skidding around a little bit, but not bad. And as you can see, we are on the magenta line, but our CDI is totally for shit here. Caught a little gust. Trying to get enough rudder trim in. That the need for it is going to vary with speed, and it'll be more acute with one engine instead of two. But we can maintain about a 500 foot per minute climb, and that'll do us. And you can see the little spot of red next to Gaviota on the map there. That's our terrain. But we have enough climb performance to get up over it. It's kind of a silly exercise. We would not obviously be doing this in real life. And you see our ball is almost centered, which is good. Trying to eke a little bit more climb performance out of it. It's not doing bad. Probably what we should do is bring the engine right back very slightly to climb power. And I'm not sure, this is an artifact of the gauge. It's showing I've got manifold pressure in the engine even though we're feathered and we're not running, so, and we're at fuel cutoff, but that is just an instrument problem, and it's probably similar to the problem with this. So since I know I'm not going to get this for the rest of the flight, I'm going to set my heading here to our localizer, our runway heading. And I'm going to take a look at our flight plan here. Alright. We're going to activate the approach right now. And I'm just going to very briefly see if I can make this thing work. Nope, still broken. Alright. We're at 3,500 feet. We are inbound to Gaviota. That's all good. We're 15 miles from Gaviota. And again, we're flying flight director. Our ball is centered. Our number one engine is feathered. I'm just going to ever so slightly bring down the props. In number two, I'm running 25%, 25 pounds of manifold pressure and 25. There is no reason at all for the right-hand engine to complain. It does not know it's the only engine running. It only knows what the prop and throttle input are. Alright, so when we get to Yanni, we're going to be making the right turn of about 60 degrees to 166. And I'm hoping the weather is going to be a little bit crappier than it is. Alright, we're at 3,800 feet. I'm just going to try and climb to what I think will clear our terrain. A lot more trimming to do. A lot more trimming. It's pretty darn good performance, all things considered. I think we can get about 700 feet per minute out of it, just at about blue line. Alright, let's give us some bad weather, please. So I'm relying on the flight director instead of the flight director and the HSI. And that is obviously just wrong, but I've tested it out when it's done this, and it seems to work fine. We're going to get ourselves set up so that we're turning onto our localizer, and I've also discovered that once we switch over to the localizer, then all is well. Alright, coming up on 4,500. And with any luck, the weather will be crappy enough in Santa Barbara that it'll make it fun. In any case, we will be heads down flying the approach, so we're going to be like that, so we won't see it. I would do it right now and just do it for the whole rest of the flight, except it's pretty damn boring. Obviously the prop sync is not on because there are no props to sync. I should put our pitot heat on. When I reloaded the aircraft, it seems to have unloaded itself. Well, we're above freezing, but not by much. And we're flying into moisture. Alright, we're at 4,800, just a little off course. There we go. Alright, let's get our next altitude set, which is going to be down to 3,500. Just so we have some rudimentary guidance. Okay. And set a vertical speed of down at 1,000, well, a little less than 1,000 feet per minute. Alright, that's ready to go. We are in nav mode, and let's just make sure that we're on track here. I'm 100 feet below. Let me just fix that. Alright, look at that. We're in perfect shape, so there's our right turn, and there's the rest of it. The approach is activated. The only complication is going to be spinning this sucker around with my mouse while I'm trying to fly the plane. When we turn to final. Other than that, all is reasonably well. I'm just going to adjust out the rudder trim a little bit there. Don't need as much. There we go. Drifting off course just a tiny bit. Just a teensy bit, as my Grandma Sophie would pronounce it. I don't know why she pronounced it that way, but she had her little ways. And now we're just tootling along here. We're still about 100 feet low. There's our decent amount of terrain right there. But we appear to be above it. We're looking good so far. Excuse me. Check our altimeter at Santa Barbara. It is 3008, overcast, 200 feet maybe. That's good. We like that. All right, 3008. Come on. That's about right. It is very important, for obvious reasons, to have your altimeter set correctly, especially in bad weather. Anytime really, but in bad weather especially because that's when you'll hit something. Alright, so we're going to make a right turn to 166, which is right about there. In right now, I'll try standard rate turn, follow the flight director. You see, it is slaving, but it is not driving the CDI. Alright, so we're at 500 feet. We're happy. We're not making any sudden moves, such as it is. Gonna roll wings level here. No, maybe not yet. Doesn't want us to. Oh, now here we come with all the traffic alerts. These are not really true. I'm not running any traffic, as best I can tell. Alright, so at Gaviota we can now come down to 3,500 feet. I'm sorry, we can come down to 3,500 feet, so let's go. Again, we're going to have to retrim here, lose some of that left rudder trim as we pull out. I'm going to not make the kind of power changes I ordinarily would because I'm flying slowly to begin with, and it's okay to pick up a little speed. Got no problem there. Just going to fly the flight director here. 140 knots. I'm just trimming and retrimming. The reason why I'm not making a lot of power changes is because I'll be constantly making rudder adjustments, and I want to avoid that if possible. Okay, coming up on our turn to, and here we go, constant traffic alerts. Constant distractions. We're a little bit high, so I'm just going to come down, and now I will break my own rule here. I'm going to roll off a little more power because I want to stay reasonably slow. I don't want to be going tremendously fast, tremendously steeply, and tremendously down. At the moment we are above, no, we're just ducking below the glide slope right now. I'm looking at my nav2 VOR display, and now we got a full head of steam here because we're kind of diving down on this. So what I'm going to do, I don't like this, is I'm going to get into VLOC, and now I'm going to spin this goddamn thing around as we try and fly the airplane, which is the part I really hate. Alright, good. We're below the local line of the glide slope. I'm losing my mind here. Let's try that again in English. However, we're considerably to the right of the localizer, so let's get established on that. Let's get us into approach mode on our flight director. Okay, it's given us what looks like good guidance bars. It is. Okay, we're going to slow down. Get a notch of flaps out. Let's get the gear down. Get ourselves configured early. Get a little bit more power in here. Okay, we're at 2,500 feet. That's right where we want to be. I'm going to ignore that. And now we have a lot of trimming to do here because we are now changing our configuration. Alright, I have to introduce a lot of right rudder trim now as we fly the flight director. Okay, there we go. We're almost in the slot here. We are in the slot. Okay. Coming down at a nice 500 foot per minute. That's right where we want to be. Let's put in the rest of our flaps. Gear is down, 3 greens. And now we're going to basically just fly the plane. We're a little bit above, about a half a dot high. I'm just going to increase our rate of descent. Have to trim us out a little bit here. Come off the power a bit, and that's going to affect our rudder. There we go. And you can see we're sort of running multiple variables here. Okay, we're in the slot. We're right on speed. Okay, 6 miles away, 1,500 feet. Little bit low, although we're reading a little bit high on the glide slope. Okay, good on the glide slope, good on the localizer, good on speed. Making tiny, tiny corrections to the rudder trim, just so that I don't cramp up in my leg. Tiny, tiny elevator trim corrections. We're a little bit fast. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm just not going to mess with it right now. I got caught by a gust there. Now we're a little low. It is reading a little low. Okay, there we go. 700 feet. We're going to fly this right down to minimums. Okay, 3 miles. 600 feet. Now we should be high. Alright. Well, in any case, 500 feet. We're right on. Ever so slightly to the left. Just going to fix that like so. Okay, good to go. 400 feet. Right on blue line speed. That's good. 300 feet. Okay. .200 feet, and there we are. Have to do a little dance with the rudder here. And welcome to Santa Barbara. Where it is going to be a little bit difficult to stop this airplane. But we'll manage. Okay, boys and girls, want to see that again? I know I do. Alright, let's just get the parking brake on here. Whew. Alright. That'll take the piss out of your vinegar. No, I don't want to do that. Alright, come on. It's not what we want to do. Alright, obviously we were cheating here because we were heads down. So we didn't know we were lined up, but just come in a little closer here. Skate a little lower now. Alright, there we are. So here we come. You notice, look at that rudder trim I've got cranked in there. You see that? So a lot more busy work on the feet. Probably drag the tail a little bit. Let's find out. Look at the man grease it on. I mean, geez, will you just look at that? Look at that. All right. I ask you. I'll take it. That's what I'll do. I'll take it. And we will take the Hawaii 5-0 shot. Because that's the way we fly. All right. Let's give it a go. Look at it, look at him. Floating right over the numbers there. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, shit. Ah, crap. Whoa. That's not what I wanted to do. That's not the Hawaii 5-0 shot. That's the Beverly Hills 90210 shot. We don't want that. Let's do it right this time. There we go. That's what we wanted. We want it to gracefully come in over our heads. We don't want it to take our heads off. All right, here we go. Okay, pay attention, boys and girls. Don't try this at home. There we go. It's nice having a good set of rudder pedals in a situation like this. If I had the Logitechs or the Cytex, I would not be able to do this. Look at that. Shit, shit, shit. We just plunked that sucker right down there. Alright, I'm a happy boy. We're just going to take one look at it from the cockpit. Just so I can experience what I had my head down for. Alright, so let's see where, also, let's see where the overcast... you know what, it was closer to 800. Wow, look at that though. That's a pretty cool shot. So now, you know, just hearkening back to our visual landing lesson, I suppose. We're keeping a constant picture here. The touchdown zone is staying about the same distance away, give or take. We're really looking good here. We're using about 4 or 5 inches more pressure because we're only one engine. We're bang on the speed. We're bang on the descent rate here. We're going 100. We're coming down at 500. You know, it's not It's not perfect because you see as we roll off the power, you have to sort of retrim with your feet. And so there we go. We're coming over the fence at about 90 and start to get just a little squirrely, but that's when my feet start doing the happy dance. And this is where it really gets problematic, and this is entirely X-Plane's problem. The ground handling sucks. And apparently, I'm told that Austin Meyer, who is one of the creators, the original creator of X-Plane, said on a developer's mailing list, I don't know because I'm not on the developer's mailing list, that he acknowledges the problem, and he said reportedly, and this could be inaccurate, but reportedly said he should have fixed this 20 years ago. So with any luck, they're working on it. I sure hope they are. Alright, so anyway, with that, with our engineer coughing and missing, here on a cruddy day at Santa Barbara, that was a lot of fun. And I thank Pilot Wannabe up in Canada for the suggestion, and I'm glad he made me stretch for it. And it is not impossible to do, because if it were impossible to do, there would be a hell of a lot more pilots falling out of the sky than there are. So none of this stuff is really impossible. You don't have to be Bob Hoover to fly it. God knows I'm not. So with that, so ends another KLM flight lesson, it seems. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.